The St. Patty's Day, March 17th, 2025 meeting of the Bay City City Commission will come to order. The clerk will give the invocation, which will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Prince.
Here.
Coakley.
Here.
Bernie Obershaw.
Here.
Tenney.
Here.
Hilliker.
Here.
DeWitt.
Here.
Renberg.
Here.
Charlebois.
Here.
Morris. And Mayor Gerard.
Present. Is there a motion to excuse Commissioner Morris? Commissioner Prince?
Motion to excuse.
Is there a second? Commissioner Tenney?
Second.
All right. Is there any objection to excusing Commissioner Morris? Seeing no objection, Commissioner Morris is excused. We have a quorum. First order of business is presentation. So we have Kathy Dardis and Clan coming up to talk about the Ansbach and Bay City Sister City Intercultural Exchange. And it is a full clan.
How would you like us to do this? Here?
Whatever's easier. We do, if you can speak into the mic, whoever's talking to speak in the mic, make sure it's on.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Dardis. I am one of the assistant principals at the Bay Aranac ISD Career Center. And we're just going to do introductions quick and then we'll get started. Thank you for having us tonight.
Hi, I'm Isabella Gale, and I was on the 2024 German trip for Central High School. I'm a junior currently.
Hi, I'm Maya Alman. I was on the 2024 Germany trip. I also go to Bay City Central High School, and I'm a junior currently too.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Forrest. I'm an instructor at the Bay Aranac Career Center in the Marketing and Management program.
Hi, my name's Sarah Sinclair. I'm a third grade teacher at Hampton Elementary School here in Bay City.
Good evening. My name is Matt Alman. I'm a teacher at Central High School.
Good evening. My name is Susan Elder. I am the German teacher at Bay City Central and Bay City Handy Middle Schools. And we would like to tell you a little bit about our passion, our exchange. Originally, our sister city relationship with Ansbach was founded in 1961. It was in correlation with Eisenhower's People-to-People program, which was founded in 1956. I Googled it today. We aren't the oldest. The oldest is actually 70 years old, but I believe we are the oldest sister city relationship in the state. In 2016, the relationship was under discussion. We were trying to decide with Ansbach if we were going to dissolve the relationship, but a core group of citizens ran by a man named Walter Hagen, who is quite famous, decided that it was worth one more go. In 2019, we had a group of people come from Ansbach, and that's the big group up there. We decided as a group of citizens from both sides that we were going to push for the relationship to continue and focus on youth. So in 2020, we had our first exchange. It was not in person, it was via Zoom because, of course, COVID. In 2022, we were able to have our first in-person exchange. We took 4 students, they brought 12. In that time, in 2022, we also celebrated our 61st anniversary of our sister city relationship. And one of the most memorable parts of that relationship celebration was the Ansbach Platz, and you see it every day, hopefully, when you drive over the bridge. We also have had exchanges educationally with their marketing program. At FOSBOS, you can see a picture of Kathy. Her students and a group of students from FOSBOS Ansbach actually created a project together. the students from Germany and students from the United States. Click it. This is some outings from our very first exchange, and you can see we welcome them here. You can see our Mighty Four on the bottom. This was the 2022 exchange. 2024, we took 12 kids over. Up at the top corner, you can see our students by a sign. It's hard to read the sign, but it's actually the Bay City Bridge. In Ansbach, Germany, there is a bridge named after us. It's our Bay City Bridge. And you could also see some more pictures of our celebration there. In 2023, we had some collaborative projects. We also had a teacher exchange. So we took 5 teachers to Ansbach. We toured all of their schools, and we learned quite a bit about Ansbach's education system, which is very different from ours. We did things in the city, like we took the kids on a pedal trolley tour. It was quite fun. We did Princess Winona tour. We visited the city hall. We took them to Mackinac Island. We gave them a good taste of what our city was like and why our relationship was important to us.
Our mission, obviously, as a cohort of educators, has been and will continue to be a cultural exchange. What we are looking for is a connection between our community here in Bay City and in Ansbach, Germany. And we believe that we can cultivate curiosity, empathy, and a commitment to global partnership, as well as grow the relationship between Bay City and Ansbach, Germany.
So through our educational exchange, we've been able to really make an impact on our community. Through our partnership with Ansbach, we've been able to have families impacted, and families are traveling to Ansbach, and families are also traveling from Ansbach here. So we've been able to allow that community within Bay City to grow. We've also had, this last time, we were able to take a group of students from Ansbach into many of businesses in Bay City, Michigan Sugar, Mersenne, the City of Bay City, Dr. Kopis Orthodontics, Doubletree, McLaren, and 911. And through that, those students were able to learn about how business is in Bay City and to share the similarities and differences within their understanding of that. We really feel that this is a continued friendship, and it will continue to grow through our families and through our businesses that we're impacting.
Hello. Like I said, I went on the 2024 Central German trip. That trip was truly eye-opening as someone who doesn't travel often. The connections I've made on that trip truly were like unlike anything else, and they really do last even after the trip. Everyone in Germany, especially the family that I was assigned, were so welcoming and friendly despite them knowing a lot more English than I did German. They really did make me feel included and part of the family. By going to Germany, it especially boosted my confidence and made me feel connected in a community especially. And it really was beautiful there, and all the people were just so nice to me. And they're still nice to me. I still talk to my my sister. I call her my sister because she's like my sister. Yeah. Thank you.
I was also on the 2024 Germany exchange, and the trip was an incredible experience. I not only got to see the world, but I also made so many connections and friends who I still talk to today. Being able to bond with friends overseas really opened my eyes to so many cultural differences, but many more similarities. Thank you.
Good evening again. As an educator at Central High School, I've been able to be a part of this group in terms of the teacher exchange. Not only was I able to go to Ansbach, Germany, 2 winters ago to see how they do education, but being part of this partnership, we do monthly Zoom meetings where we talk about where the program's going. Then we've also done different professional developments. So in addition to learn about the cultural differences and similarities in their school system, we've also done sessions on how we at Central High School use instructional technologies in the classroom. And then they would lead a session similar to that. Just recently, we talked about the use of artificial intelligence with things like ChatGPT, how we're using them for positive benefit with students in the high school, but also what our German counterparts are doing. So we learn quite a bit from one another in these different exchanges. Coming off of, a few years from COVID, we also spent some sessions discussing how we are addressing student mental health, how we address, the cell phone usages in the schools. So although we have a very different system of education, we still struggle with a lot of the same issues, and working together has really been helpful in trying to figure out solutions and positive ways to deal with that.
I also got to participate in the Educator Exchange last December, and it was wonderful to just do some language and global studies with my third graders and bring that experience back to them. We learned a lot about, we traveled in December, so we did a lot of work with holiday and holiday traditions in Germany, and I was able to bring that back to the classroom and continue that learning. But I think my biggest honor and even bigger impact has been a parent in this program. So it's a bit of a family affair for us. My husband, Matt, and I both traveled as educators. This is my oldest daughter, Maya. She participated last summer, and our youngest daughter will participate next summer, 2026. So it's been a family affair for us. And being a host parent, bringing that German student to our home in September was just incredible. It was wonderful to welcome her into our home, share our traditions and customs with her, show her around our local area and as much of Michigan as we could in the time we had. Building those connections with her and her family. Her mom and I are messaging all the time, back and forth, and planning our next meeting when we can all be together again. Has really been a wonderful thing for our family. It's been something that we can do together. So I think I love being part of it as an educator, but I love being part of it more as a parent. Thank you.
So we've really been very fortunate in all of our positions to have the opportunity to participate in this exchange. And moving forward, we will continue to have professional learning within our educator group. We also are going to be doing some school exchanges, and we'll be bringing a group of students here to Bay City and traveling to Ansbach in 2026. And in 2026, it is also the 65th anniversary of our Sister City partnership. And we're looking forward to travel, celebration, and connection. And we hope that our city will embrace and get involved in that experience. Thank you so much. And we are hosting a fundraiser that will help with the expenses of our upcoming travel and our educational exchange at the Bay Area ISD Career Center on April 30th from 4 until 7, and it's a German dinner, and you can buy tickets in advance, and also you are able to purchase them that evening and for takeout. Hope we'll see everyone there. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions by commissioners? Thank you so much for coming, and I'm thankful that this team was put together to help resurrect our relationship with Ansbach, and it was a great ceremony a couple years ago, and I look forward to see what's happening in 2026. Yes, Commissioner Runberg.
First off, thank you for coming and presenting to us. It sounds like an amazing experience. It's something I wish I would have been able to do when I was younger. I just wanted to comment that my cousin, this is down in Mount Morris, but he had a foreign exchange student from Germany stay with him, and more than 20 years later, they're still in touch. So it's really a testament to the connections that you can make in doing that, and hopefully you're all very proud of yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Prince.
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you for everything you guys do. I know previously serving on the organizing committee, what feels, I guess it's 3 years ago now, feels like 20 years and also 1 week at the same time. But I just know how much work goes into this and how much of your free time, how much of your resources and money goes into this. So thank you. It does a lot for our city. Cultural exchanges are incredibly important to broaden the horizon of our students and our professionals in the community. So thank you for what you do. We appreciate it.
All right, Commissioner DeWitt.
As a former student of the class, Dankeschön, Frau Elder. I do wish that this program would have existed back when I was in your classes, but I understand why it wasn't. But I love seeing this stuff. Thank you.
All right, looks like that's it. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Appreciate it. And we look forward to the April 30th, so it looks like from 5 to 7. All right, our next order of business is adoption of the agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda? Commissioner Tenney.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
All right, is there a second? Commissioner Hilliker.
Second.
All right. Do any members of the commission wish to add any item to the agenda? Okay, seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll on adoption of the agenda?
Commissioner Coakley.
Yes.
Bernie Obershaw.
Yes.
Tenney.
Yes.
Hilliker.
Yes.
DeWitt.
Yes.
Runberg.
Yes.
Charlebois.
Yes.
Prince.
Yes.
8 yes.
All right, the agenda for this evening has been adopted. Next order of business is the consent agenda. Do any members of the commission wish to make a change to the consent agenda? Commissioner Runberg.
Yeah, I'd like to pull item 14.
Could you just briefly state what that is?
Yeah, I forget that every time. I apologize. For the mayoral appointment of Garrett Whaley and Jeffrey Dodick to the Midland Street Management Board.
All right, thank you. Any others? Commissioner Bernie Overshaw.
Yes, I'd like to take 6 off. City manager recommending contract with Treasurer Contracting, Excavation LL, Fennel, Michigan, for 2025 CDBG sidewalk replacement project in an amount not exceed $220,000.
All right.
I'd like to take off, well, what they did here is they made 10 and 11 and 12 like the same, they were kind of like all buying together.
So the reports of committees 10, 11, and 12?
Yeah, they were all kind of screwed together, so, and then they went into one. When it said 11 and 12, it said the zoning and planning together.
So you want those, so you want those all pulled?
Well, no, what I'm,
So
well, we
these
can
are
pull-
just items, are you
well,
going to
what
pull
I'm
them
saying-
or put them on the
What we
regular?
can do here is, we'll just pull them all together, but what I'm gonna do is address them.
Okay, you
just 11
can
and
have
12
public
in one,
comment
yeah.
time. Yeah, but you don't want anything pulled other than number 6 at this time?
No, I want 6 pulled, and I want 11 and 12 pulled.
Okay,
Because it would bring them all together.
Okay, perfect. 6, 11, and 12. And you mentioned 10, the planning commission. Do you want that
They're all
pulled too?
together. I mean, it's all, there's 3 planning and zoning,
Okay,
really
so
the same thing. They're just,
it's either a yes or a no. Do you want 10
Yes.
pulled? Okay, thank you. We'll address it then. All right, anybody else like items pulled? Okay, seeing none. Next order of business calls for public input on the consent agenda. This is the opportunity for citizens to remove an item from consent for consideration on the regular agenda. If anyone in the audience wishes to make a change, please come to the microphone, print your name on the registration sheet, state your name and address for the record, and the item you wish to have considered on the regular agenda.
Now, can we add items to the agenda?
No, you cannot.
Okay, goodbye.
Okay, thank you. Okay. All right, is there a motion on the consent agenda? All right, Commissioner Hilliker.
Move to approve.
Is there a second? Commissioner DeWitt.
Second. Second.
Thank you. Will the clerk please call the roll on adoption of the consent agenda?
Commissioner Bernie Obershaw.
yes.
Tenney.
Yes.
Hilliker.
Yes.
DeWitt.
Yes.
Runberg.
Yes.
Charlebois.
Yes.
Prince.
Yes.
Coakley.
Yes.
8 yes.
All right, the consent agenda has been approved. Remarks of the mayor and the commission. And as I stated last meeting, I just hope that we can all be respectful and treat each other with some kind of decorum here. So I do want to start off, I want to talk about the St. Patrick's Day races and parade. And, you know, even though it rained, it didn't rain on our parade. So I think there's a good time had by all at our our fun weekend of St. Patty's Day. And so thank you for all the organizers of both the races and the parade. It takes a lot of work. It's a year-round endeavor. You know, you think it's one day, but it's not. So thank you to all those folks that make that happen. It is really great for our community. Also, on tomorrow, the 18th of March, there's a public information session on the Smith Street reconstruction. So that's from 4 to 5:30 here at City Hall. So, so if you want to kind of hear about that project and what that will entail, feel free to come here at City Hall. And then just want to mention there was House Bill 4230. Representative Altman, he put forward a proposal for $3.3 billion of local funding. I don't know what's going to happen with it for streets, but you know, I know both sides of the aisle are talking about streets, so I'm optimistic that something will get done. We know here that our streets and neighborhood streets are sorely lacking, so hopefully something happens and we can get some more resources in because we all know we need it. I get daily messages about potholes. So, all right, commissioners, Commissioner DeWitt.
I'll actually start with my pothole issue. This was actually not in my ward, but up by State Street by the Smith Street project between Smith and Wilder. There are cutouts all the way across the road at some points, and it is very rough there right now. Is that part of the same project, or is that a different project that's like just taking its sweet time? Do we know?
I could have Bob or Josh come up and answer that, or Rachel.
I believe the section you're referring to between Smith and Wilder with the cutouts, there were 3 emergency cuts that we had to take care of due to either degradation of the road or sinking. So we ended up cutting them out, replaced them with stone. Once the asphalt plants open mid-April, we'll be back down there to make repairs. But that section of state is not part of the Smith reconstruct, no.
Okay, that answered the question. Thank you. I just was shocked yesterday when I went, oh, hey, that's really bad. The other one I have is about the Lafayette Bridge project. I've had a few residents talk to me, and I got one email, plus what I noticed about the noise between like midnight and 5 a.m. Do we know, was that actually part of the original allowance for them to work through the night with the noise levels?
That's...
Bob may be able to answer that, or Rachel.
Yeah,
Granite Creamer was allowed to work nights until the end of March because of the April 1st deadline that they have to meet, and then they can't do any more. Then the channel opens. So it's because of the requirements from the U.S. Coast Guard that they have to get that done before the end of the month.
It's quite loud sometimes. So, and I thought it was sure to be pressure release until someone said they heard it on the other side. I'm like, oh, it's not that this time. Those are the 2 big things I had. Thank you.
All right, well, that's good. We can relay that to residents in that area so it has to be done by March 31st. So, thank you. Any other comments? Commissioner Tenney.
Thank you to the chair. Just wanted to mirror your sentiments about the St. Patty's Day parade. You don't have to look any further than my last name to know that I have Irish roots. On that note, it's also a cool reminder that this nation was built by immigrants, right? So whether you were racing in the rain, or whether you built a float, or you were marching, or you were perhaps a city staff that was tasked with some of that crowd control, thanks to all of Bay City for making that a success. Additionally, I have a couple of events to plug. The local alumni chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi is hosting an event called Pancakes and Prostates. And if you would like the QR code afterwards, please grab me. It is at the Saginaw YMCA on the 29th from 8 till 11. The breakfast is free, as are the prostate checks, and it's a blood test, I'm told. On that note, prostate cancer, laugh it up, go ahead, but it is the second leading cancer killer among men. Second leading cancer killer among men. So please show support to this event. Also, this Saturday, the 22nd, the local alumni chapter of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated is hosting a brunch at Sarah's Cafe in downtown Saginaw on Federal Street. It's from 11:30 to 1 o'clock, and I hope to see you all there. It is a buffet-style brunch for $17.95, open to the public. And finally, I wanted to just say that we owe it to the people we serve to have some decency, some diplomacy, and some decorum about us. Finally, some discretion. Just because you think something is true does not mean it needs to be said. The people we serve elected us for policy, not for drama. If I have any issues with any department head, any of my colleagues, you all are not going to know about it as much as I can help it, because that's not what we're here for, right? We're not here to have a bunch of infighting in front of you all. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Coakley.
Thank you. Just want to echo something Commissioner Tenney said. It's just, let's show each other respect. All profanity has dual meanings. It's the intent of it. And let's get it to the point where parents can actually let their kids watch a meeting again and learn from the behaviors. So, secondly, St. Patrick's Day, once again, echo that. Fun yesterday. Nice seeing everybody out there. A little sore from the walk, but, you know, I needed it. And lastly, any updates on the bridge repairs? Those minor repairs look pretty major to me every time I go over it.
Are you talking?
I'm talking the negotiations, apologize. Any updates on the negotiations?
Is there anything to report?
I'm not involved in negotiations at all.
Still ongoing, I'm assuming?
Yeah, but are you talking about repairs or the conversation?
First of all, twofold. I mean, the negotiations, what's going there, and secondly, there's the repairs going on the bridge. They said it were minor. They look pretty major to me.
Yeah, maybe Bob can come up and give a little update on that. I think there's some people aren't aware on what point the city has jurisdiction over or control up to the bridge point. So maybe he can address that and what's the city's responsibility and what's the bridge company's responsibility.
Perfect. Clarity would be nice here.
So the repairs that you're seeing taking place up on Nady Bridge is from when they initially started construction. There was that concrete median. It was in their way. They took it out so they could mobile around the bridge without having that intervene with them getting through, doing their construction and stuff. Now that portion is pretty much set, they're putting that median back.
Is that on the city portion or?
That isn't that city, that's under the contractor.
So that is under the contract, right? Okay. At what point does the city's property go up to and what point? Like on the approachment, right?
So basically what you see, well, before we did the blacktop up there, what you saw from concrete to concrete was the contractor's portion. We blacktopped over that by putting a 2-inch coarse overlay on that. So you're not seeing that. It goes up to the abutments where actually bridge leaves ground. But they did the parking area for the bridge operators. They put up the generator and all that, plus the tolling system and all that type of stuff. So they're 100% responsible for all that.
So would it be safe to say that they're not complete with the bridge right now?
Pardon me, say that again.
So the bridge isn't complete right now? They're not done with the repairs on the bridge?
Not as far as I know, no.
Okay, that's the answer I wanted to hear.
All set, Commissioner? Commissioner Bernie Overshaw.
All right, I wasn't going to say anything about the bridges, but what I would like to ask you, Mayor, I see that United Bridge Partners, they have reached out and they have gotten an attorney. What I'm wondering, if they have gotten an attorney so quickly, why have we not reached out and gotten an attorney instead of using the same attorneys that we have used to make this deal in the beginning? Why have we not fired them and reached out to another attorney to take over this matter? Because we are allowed to fire them and to say, okay, we're done with you. We need to, this is over and we need to approach this with another attorney.
That it was at the purview of the city manager to contract it, but if the commission wanted to make that change, all you would have to do is put forward a resolution and vote on it. So commissioners do have that authority. If you wanted to see that change, it'd be up to the commission though to do that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Commissioner Prince.
Yes, last meeting we had a gentleman with a sign, I think he's here today, asking a couple of questions, and I was trying to get some answers for him, and I currently have one question out to the Secretary of State, so that's why I haven't reached back out to him, is because I don't have a full picture yet, but I wanted to go through some things. He mentioned House Bill 5733 from the 2023-2024 legislative session in Lansing. That bill regarded tolling and the Secretary of State's enforcement of private tolling. That legislation passed the State House, but it died in the State Senate, so it's not current law in Michigan. So it's important to understand that House bills aren't always state law. They have to pass both chambers and be signed by the governor. And to my knowledge, it has not been reintroduced in the legislature. His first question that he asked on his sign was, can the Secretary of State suspend your license for unpaid tolls? I don't believe they can. I'm getting clarification on this one. It is, to my knowledge, based on legislation that was passed in 2021, that the Secretary of State cannot suspend your license for non-driving causes. That was a reform package back then. And then the second question was, can Bridge Partners use the Secretary of State to deny your registration to renewal? I don't think they can, but this is one that I'm asking Secretary of State on just for clarification. I believe that they send you to debt collectors if you don't pay your tolls, but getting clarification on that. So I just wanted to make sure I raised those issues that he asked, and wanted to let him know that's why I have not called, is because I have not received firm answers on them yet. So that is all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Berg.
Yeah, thank you. I have two things. One, just to echo everyone else's sentiments about the parade. It was cold, but we got through it. I walked with the Bay City Bridge Resistance, which I believe we have some representatives of in here today. They did an excellent job. So thank you for that. And the other thing is in relations to Lafayette Street Bridge. I don't believe, and this is granted, I'm gonna have to get with the county on this, probably get with Doctor or someone, but there's not a sign saying businesses are open on that side, on the west side of the bridge. Is there one over there? There was one. There's not one currently. So, but I want any of the businesses that are impacted by that to know that I am working on that to try to get something out there to make it obvious that you're open for business. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Bernie Overshaw.
Yes, it has become the time that we give our city manager her evaluations. I asked if I would have that on my desk, her evaluation paperwork. I have not received it yet. I have another question. The commissioners, we have to be seated with her for 12 months to give that evaluation. I'd like to clarify that with you. I know that the commissioners that did sit with her, you were a commissioner at the time, there are not enough of us to give her, well, they haven't been sitting on the seat. My question is, will they be allowed, which would be a great thing, to evaluate her And when will I be receiving that paperwork? Because we need to get that done before the end of this month.
I'll have Commission President Prince answer that.
Yes, so the evaluation form is in your email. So you have received it. You can print it out. I'm not in charge of making sure that you're prepared for this, but it is in your email. And second, I reached out to the city attorney on this because there is confusion regarding who can do the evaluation or not. They told me that we cannot exclude current commissioners from doing the evaluation. The contract states commission, not previous commission, not future commission, but the commission. So in that gray area, I think it serves us best to side on the air of caution and have everyone be able to participate. Commissioners can decide not to participate if they want to, but they are open to doing so. And additionally, if we were to exclude commissioners from doing so, any commissioner can call for a review at any time, and at that point, we would have to go through the process again. So instead of going through the process again, we can just do it all at the same time, and that review will take place this coming Monday. We need to do a special meeting for it. I need to talk to the clerk to make sure that it is all proper, but I think we are all in alignment there. So, thank you.
Well said. Okay, Commissioner Bernie Obershaw still has the floor. I just had Commissioner Prince answer.
My problem with that is when you are evaluated with a job, there needs to be at least a 90-day turnaround for you to even evaluate someone. If you have not sat with a person for at least, like the rules have been like that, am I right or wrong, for how many years that you've sat on the commission seat or on the chambers, how many years has it been that you were able to give an evaluation? It's two questions together. For a city manager, and I would like to know how many times has it ever been known for the same, the evaluation to go through the attorney? Because it seems to me that we are having, every time a resolution is written, we are having more, the attorney, our city attorney, is kind of being used against us when we're doing our resolutions. It's always, you guys have to confide in the attorney, the city attorney, and it just seems that everything is being changed around when it comes to city manager and the proper rules are not being followed. So with that being said, I would like it if I had her evaluation on my desk, and I really feel that 12 months sitting with her, it is needed time to see what she has done for the city, and we should evaluate her on her work that she has done. And I really wish the city, the people, would have a chance to give their input on how they feel her work is for the city, has been done, and I feel she does not deserve a raise. And I think this is what the problem is, why I haven't received that paperwork, because I am not happy, and I would like the people to be able to have a part in that, and that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Just real quick clarification. So, because I've served on this commission 9 years, and I every time evaluation, whether in the first year or not, I actually did participate in the eval. Now I understand that it's a little more difficult to do if you've only been on the commission a very short time, but past practice has always been when you're a commissioner, and we're following the city charter really dictates our rules for us, and that's why we use lawyers, is because we want to make sure it's legal. We don't want to get challenged in the courts. Like, if we don't do things properly, somebody could challenge that in courts, and which costs the city money. So consulting with lawyers is being a proactive approach to make sure we don't get sued, which costs residents and taxpayers a lot more money. So that is why lawyers are used. I mean, I'm sure there's some things that we could do without, but legal speak, we need to make sure that we're doing things properly and in the process of the law. So that's why sometimes I know it's frustrating that certain things are held up because of legal review, but that's why. So Commissioner Coakley had a comment.
You answered one of my questions with past practice. Secondly, how do we get a printed copy on Commissioner Bernie Obershaw's desk? Who would be tasked with doing that, and when can it happen?
I'm sure we can. You have a copy, so we'll see if we can do it before she leaves. Is that possible? So Commissioner President Prince, do you have that? If you could send that to, who would we like to send it to?
Yeah, I can send it.
We're going to try to print it for you tonight, so you can take it with you. Is that?
Thank you.
All right. Any other commissioners like to make comments? Okay. Next order of business, manager's report, acting manager Reyes.
I don't have anything right now.
All right. And next item of business is for public input. Under the rules of the City Commission, each speaker will be allowed 5 minutes to speak. Commissioner Coakley will serve as the timekeeper. This is the opportunity for citizens to address the Commission regarding any agenda item or any other matter. If anyone wishes to address the Commission, please come forward, print your name on the registration sheet, and state your name and address for the record. I do want to remind folks, I know in the last few meetings, there's been a lot of applause and cheering on. I'm going to ask that you refrain from that because I think we have a lot of speakers tonight, and we don't want to short them their time. And Commissioner Sergeant of Arms Coakley will monitor that. Thank you.
May I begin, Mr. Mayor?
Yep, go ahead.
Thank you very much. My name is Rudy Howard. I live on 6th Street here in Bay City. My family has called Bay City home for 3 generations now. I'm here to speak to you on something I thought I would never have to do in my lifetime. Talk to you about immigration. I spent a great deal of time over the weekend kind of thinking about what I was going to say. I spent a couple hours today listening to some speeches and reading. Maybe I would lecture you on the law. Miller versus the United States, and clearly what is laid out in federal case law of what law enforcement is and is not allowed to do on this issue. But most of you, from what I've seen, are more than capable of talking to an attorney and figuring that out for yourselves. I talked about maybe thinking about the moral or ethical issues, but I think our friends that got a chance to come in and visit from Germany tell us what the moral and ethical thing is to do. That being an open and welcoming community is the right thing to do for ourselves, for our children. It's the right thing to do for the world. I thought about many things I would say to you, but it basically comes down to one simple question. You know what is the right thing to do? Are you duly elected leaders? Are you going to do the right thing? Or are you politicians? Are you going to put your finger up, see which way the wind might be blowing, and decide it was in your best interest this particular time? The bottom line is the federal government wants us to get ourselves involved in what is their job. Time and time and time again, they have cut the taxes for the top 1%, which has cut back the amount of money cities and people get, which is why you can't get the snow off my street. It's why you can't fix the potholes. It's why our schools are overcrowded. It's why law enforcement has to be firefighters, first responders. They have to deal with home invasion. They have too much on their plates already. It's wrong, and you know it's wrong. So the bottom line is if you can't stand up this one time when it's clearly the right thing to do, what are you going to do when the time comes, because it is coming, that you're going to have to make some real choices? You have a person in charge of the federal government that is clearly grabbing power. No one is going to stop them. So the bottom line is, can you, Mr. Mayor, can you, my representatives, do a simple thing that is easy, it is right, it's financially sound? Do your jobs, please.
Please refrain from the clapping.
Hi, I'm Matt on Marsac.
So I think I've mentioned before that I'm a teacher, but I haven't mentioned that I'm a history teacher. And I really thought being a history teacher would be like, oh, did you know on today's date something happened in Germany? And it wouldn't be like, the signs, oh my God, the signs, guys, look at a history book, oh my God, okay. So, but as much as I would love to talk about history, and I do, I've actually come to talk to you about the future. That future is a little less than 100 years from now, when every single one of your Facebook friends will be dead. Your life and your impact on this community cannot be measured in your Facebook likes or in your political votes or in your dollars saved or spent. So how will your life be measured? Your life, my advice for like your own measurements, what you say is more important than how you say it. And what you do is more important than what you say. And for not just you commission, but for the people of Bay City, what you build is more important than what you do. So what are we going to build today? And I hope, and I'm here to stand in support of Chris's, I can't pronounce your last name, thanks. His resolution of a welcoming cities, because I want us to build a safe city where all people are welcome. I'm actually shaking. Sorry, guys. I got nervous. Okay. Yeah, I know, but you guys aren't my students. I can't call your parents. I will call your parents if you... No, okay. All right. The last time we had this debate, there were some people who brought up here some of the worst things that can happen to people. They accused the immigrants, legal or illegal, of violence, some of the most intimate forms of violence. And that kind of violence is why we need this welcoming resolution. Not only can people born in this country be assaulted in that intimate way, but people not born in this country can be assaulted in that horrible, horrible way. That I hope anyone in this city who is, as was said last time by others up here, who have experienced rape, I hope they feel comfortable calling our police. When someone is assaulted, there are a lot of emotions, a lot of things going through their head, and most of them are not reported. That could be because most assaults happen from a family member. Most assaults happen from somebody you know, you trust, husbands, boyfriends, trusting guys or girls in class. And there are a lot of things that can stop somebody from going to the police. But I hope you guys have the moral fortitude to stand up for the innocent people in this city, that they feel safe calling our police, that we should be so lucky to already be born in a country where the police do not preemptively ask you for papers. How lucky, how fortunate is that to live in a country where you are not expected to bribe the police. When my friend went to India, he was instructed to have some cash in case he had to deal with the police, because that is how things are done there. How lucky are we? And I hope that our security officers, the people who choose low pay and hard work for this city, can go and help the people who live here. I'm in fact inspired by something I read on Facebook. It says, I love my community, and I want everyone in it to thrive. So let's work together. All right, I see a beautiful smile right there. That is from our mayor. That is what I believe in. That is the standard I hope I can hold you to. I hope I can hold the rest of you to. You have an obligation to keep us safe. And that keeping us safe means our public resources, that anybody who suffers the kind of sick assault mentioned, whether the person being assaulted or the person doing the assaulting is legal or illegal, black, white, has long hair or wears ugly pants on Tuesdays, I do not care. I hope they can go to the police without worry of handing over their papers. Last time, Mr. Gerard, I called you handsome. I'm begging you to not be ugly on the inside. And I'd like to end this. I think every resolution, every city meeting for the next 75 years should just have a condemnation of the bridges. Just a general rule. We just all agree that we all hate the bridge partners, and we just say it once a year. As a history teacher, fun history fact. King Darius, who dealt war with the Greeks and the Persians for 3 generations of his family, He said he had an advisor come to him and remind him at one of his meals, remember the Greeks, how they insulted you. So I would like to do the same thing here, just like once a meeting, we just say, we all
Time.
hate the
Time.
bridge partners. Time? Okay, thank you.
Want to make sure I get it right the first time here. I'm Denise Davidson. I live at 1218 Marsac Street. I'm up here to speak against the resolution immigration enforcement. I believe our city will lose state and federal funding. On February 11th, 2025, our State House passed H.R. 19H-1, which amends the standing rules of the House of Representatives to prohibit appropriation bills or conference reports containing spending directed towards a municipality or university that is actively subverting immigration enforcement from being brought up for a vote. Examples of federal funding that currently we receive is approximately $1.4 million. That could be community development block grants via the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, community policing in our local schools to keep children safe, Bulletproof Vest Partnership Program, U.S. DOJ, Airport Improvement Program, U.S. DOT, Brownfield Revolving Loan Fund, U.S. EPA. Examples of state fund, approximately $14.2 million, general fund, revenue sharing, personal property tax reimbursement, public safety, parks, street sanitation, Brownfield, Marquette, Tifa, Airport, Liberty Harbor Marina. And then my question was, thinking about all this, if we do not receive the federal and or state funding, cuts will have to be made here at a local level to try to fix this. I don't think that we can afford to make those cuts. Federal government is enforcing current immigration laws. I believe the risk for the safety of our taxpayers, our base here, our local city residents, our children, grandchildren, taxpayers. I worry about allowing criminal activity to advance further into our city, human trafficking, more drugs and crime. And then I started questioning, why would we need a resolution in the first place to tell our public safety department what to do when I'm assuming they know what their job is? I don't know. So I urge you to vote no on this resolution. And then just another question too. 2 weeks ago when we brought this, it was on the agenda. We had 8 commissioners, and tonight we still have 8 commissioners. So I'm not sure if it's going to be tabled again, but I wanted to bring that up since we did that before, or you did it before. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Have a good night.
Hi again, Commissioners. All right, so I am standing before you today supporting the immigration resolution that Commissioner Runberg has put in front of you.
Oh, excuse me, sorry, name and address for the record.
Sorry about that. Kayla Harper, 809 28th. One of the concerns that I've heard raised among the commission in the last weeks is whether Bay City has the legal authority to pass this resolution. The answer is that we absolutely do, because Michigan has the Home Rule City Act. This act gives cities like ours the ability to govern local matters as we see fit, as long as they don't directly conflict with state or federal law. And this resolution doesn't break any laws. It simply sets local priorities. Nor does this resolution prevent our officers from cooperating with federal law enforcement when asked. What it does do is ensure that our officers are not burdened with extra elective duties that are beyond their scope and not their responsibility. At the last commission meeting, I mentioned cases across the country where public officials and city governments were sued for participating in immigration enforcement without proper warrants, which ICE frequently drops the ball on. This is not a hypothetical risk. It has happened before, countless times, and it can happen here if we don't set clear boundaries.
Beyond the legal risks, we also need to talk about money. Everyone else is talking about how we could lose federal funding, but Bay City already has enough financial struggles, and voting no on this resolution will add more money, will cost more money. We just signed a 75-year lease agreement for 2 of our drawbridges, handing them over to a private company because we couldn't afford them. That decision has already caused frustration and financial hardship for our residents, and it will continue to do so for decades if we can't get out of this. Our city is genuinely facing economic disaster as shoppers skirt around us, tourists avoid our events, and county residents are moving away at an alarming rate to avoid the hassle entirely. And if that wasn't enough, our public safety infrastructure is in need of serious attention. At the last meeting, you just voted on Fire Station 5 regarding its repairs and its needed staffing. Our roads are in awful shape after sinking so much of our road repair budget into the bridges year after year, and these are real urgent needs that should be our priority with our limited budget. Cities that have gone down this path before, cities who have approved the use of city police officers for immigration, they've seen the cost. It costs money to train officers in immigration. It costs when lawsuits are filed for wrongful detainment, and it costs when communities lose trust in their police and crimes go unreported. It requires that we hire more officers because the ones we do have would be busy with tasks outside their scope as patrol officers, which we cannot afford to do. So do we choose the hypothetical budget cuts that in almost all certainty will not happen, or do we choose the very real cost that voting no on this resolution will 100% cost Bay City? If we start pulling our police officers into federal immigration enforcement, we will be stretching them even thinner in their duties. Low morale, excessive workloads, and strained resources drive officers away from their jobs, which would mean both retention and hiring would suffer. This would also mean more overtime costs, more administrative work, and more strain on an already overworked department. Do we really want to pull more resources away from handling the violent crime in our city, from drug enforcement, from emergency response, just to take on a responsibility that already belongs to and is handled by the federal government? And I understand that some commissioners are concerned that passing this resolution could lead to federal retaliation, that we might lose funding if we refuse to take on immigration enforcement duties. But let's look at history. In 2017, this very commission passed a resolution calling on Congress to enact thoughtful, comprehensive immigration reform. That was 1 year into the Trump presidency, when anti-immigration policies were at their peak and similar threats were being made. Bay City faced no punishment. No funding was pulled. No retribution came down from Washington. We're a little city. So, if that resolution didn't cost us anything back then, why would this one, when it is so much weaker than most others being passed across the country as we speak? Besides, if we start shaping our city's policies based on fear of what the federal government might do,
Time.
where does it end?
Commissioner Runberg.
I move to give the speaker 2 more minutes.
Is there support? Commissioner Charlevoix.
Second.
Okay, are there any objections? Seeing none, you have 2 more minutes.
Thank you. If Washington tells us to privatize more public services, or if they told us to redirect funding away from schools who aren't obeying their whim, should we just give in and avoid that potential backlash? No, because your job is to govern Bay City based on what is best for Bay City, not based on fear of federal threats. That's the entire point behind the separation of federal, state, and local jurisdictions. And tonight is St. Patrick's Day. It's a holiday that you have repeatedly said today celebrates Irish heritage of the story of immigration in America. Yet we are debating whether to allow local law enforcement to engage in federal immigration enforcement, something that could make many in our community feel less safe. 100 years ago, Irish immigrants were the ones being labeled as outsiders, criminals, and threats to the American way of life. They were called drunks and barbarians. Americans told them that they didn't belong. But today we celebrate and honor them.
But that did not happen without decisions like the one you're facing today. And if you allow threats to push you into a decision tonight, you are showing our community that Bay City is weak and can be pushed around. So please do what's right for Bay City, and let's pass this resolution. Thank you.
Please refrain from the clapping.
Hi, Marie Kurzer, 300 South Lynn Street. I had asked the city clerk or the deputy city clerk to hand out this information. I was here about a year ago, I guess, with pretty much the same information. It's in regards to the Play City down in Veterans Memorial Park. And I feel really bad coming here for what I'm going to talk about because of all the money issues, and there's always money issues. There's never enough to go around for anything. However, and I apologize, I made the copies in black and white. I had colored copies, but it would have cost $103 to get them copied for all of you. So if you want to see the colored copy, I would be happy to show you that after the meeting. But the Play City is an ADA playground down in Veterans Memorial Park, and the parking lot closest to that is for Liberty Harbor Marina. It is absolutely only for Liberty Harbor Marina, and it is strictly going to be enforced if you do not have the sticker to be able to park there. If you want to go to Play City, they are directing people to go over to the helicopter operation dust-off, which is over at the bottom of the hill when you're coming down the ramp off the bridge. And then you get to walk from that area. There's one handicap spot that's all marked for a vehicle and a boat trailer parking in the first place. But if you were to walk from there, I don't know exactly how many feet it is. I wish I had a wheel. I would have went and measured it. But you go from the parking spot all the way to the park. Parents, grandparents, and any individuals who may be older or mobility challenged, not to mention any mobility challenged child who would like to use the Play City, is they have a hard time getting there. And we have a pavilion over there. And the pavilion, you know, again, you have to park on the other side or by the city building closest to the boat launch. And then basically go over grass or go to a further sidewalk to come around. And there are a lot of families who use that pavilion for different gatherings and so forth. I know that they use the grassy area west of the marina for special events, and I understand that that's not aesthetically a place for parking and so forth. The tennis courts have been removed. So I guess my question would be, if there was any way for any grants or any special funding through any foundation or anything that somebody could try and get enough money to make parking spots more available to those who are mobility challenged, or use the row by the Play City for the Play City and do the west strip by the marina for parking. I did include something different this time in here because actually I was really excited. I was going down Walnut Street one day last week and I seen, it said Liberty Harbor additional parking. It's a permanent sign and there's an arrow pointing east on John Street. So then I was like, wow, they must have come up with some idea of having some of the marina parking go over to the city parking lot or whatever. So I did what I needed to do, and then I came back around and I checked it out. And then the Liberty, it's kind of towards the back of the information I gave you. So then the Liberty Harbor additional parking basically leads to the city parking lot. And if you look real close, the old Hereford and Hops has an event center upstairs, and it's named Liberty Harbor Event Center. and Liberty Harbor Event Center is directing their patrons to the city parking lot. I only bring this up because we have 3 other city parking lots. We have several other businesses in the Midland Street Business District, and they do not have access to direct people to specifically go park there additionally for their businesses. I don't want to call out any business. I'm not trying to be nasty. I'm just saying that, first of all, I thought it was for the marine overflow, and it is a city parking lot.
Commissioner Runberg.
Move to give the speaker 2 more minutes.
Thank
Commissioner
you.
Prince.
Second.
Thank you.
Is there any objection? Seeing none, you have 2 more minutes.
Thank you. And if you look at the one picture, in the city parking lot, there's actually a sign that says public parking. But that sign, when you pull into the public parking lot, there's nothing on the back of that sign facing you. You would have to drive south, turn around, look at it to see that it said public parking. So first of all, in all fairness, I don't think it's proper that Liberty Harbor Event Center is able to do that. And secondly, I truly, truly hope that there is some way that this can be addressed. I know there were 2 commissioners from the 7th and 8th Ward previously that stated they were working on it and then they were no longer on the commission. I understand funds are very limited, if any at all. They're close to nil. And I know that we have to have our fire station open and all that, but if we are going to have something as wonderful as an ADA playground in our beautiful Veterans Memorial Park and our beautiful marina, I think we should be able to allow both entities to have access to that in the best manner possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Thank you all for your time and having this moment for the public to come up and address some of these issues and things going on. For the record, my name is Ashley Worrell at 16 South Lawn Court. And to speak a little bit about myself, my grandmother is on the ZBA of my hometown for well over 40 years. She's well versed in these kinds of affairs, and thankfully so have I. And fortunately from that, I've been able to see a lot of different inclusion from different communities. My hometown was predominantly white, so there was very little diversity or any inclusion in my schooling or in my youth. And growing up and coming out to the Tri-City area, I have learned a phenomenal amount of culture and what it does to a society and what it does to the people of those cities. And I was asked by a friend to read a note today that I had no idea that I was going to read, but I felt very resonated with the message, and being of German and Polish descent, I feel that it's appropriate for me to not only read these words, but share them with all of you. I don't know where to begin, other than with being ashamed if the immigration resolution does not pass. Bay City is home to German, Polish, and Irish descendants, among others. The whole season, the Salzburg Business District exists. The whole reason the Salzburg Business District exists is because my German ancestors were discriminated against during the interwar period. Bay City is a melting pot of various peoples. Had it not been for the generations who came before us, we would not be the cultural hub of the region that we are today. The reason that we have St. Patrick's or St. Stan's festivities is because of the immigrants who came before us. Don't let these traditions die. It's the soul of our city. If this resolution fails to pass, we're condemning future generations to a more closed-minded existence, one where our children aren't exposed to other cultures, and it only reinforces the biases we hand down. I urge every one of the commissioners to vote with their conscience. Don't let Bay City become what America has been seen as exclusive in the past, but let us become inclusive in our future. Thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Steph Stender. I live at 218 North Grant in the 3rd Ward. I am here to speak on Commissioner Runberg's resolution.
Hey, Steph, could you just put down the microphone a little bit so you're talking to it? People at home can hear you then.
I'm a little short, sorry about that. Yeah, my name is Steph Stender. I live at 218 North Grant here in Bay City's 3rd Ward. I'm here to comment on the resolution for immigration enforcement. I will say that the cruel immigration policies of the current federal administration are inhumane, and if you truly care about the residents of Bay City, you would not cooperate with such fascist policies. Imagine the rise of a resistance movement in the area with the intent being to protect the most vulnerable members in our community while facing these fascist policies. I don't have a lot to say about this other than, you know, if you hate fascist bullies, do not support the immigration enforcement in Bay City in cooperation with the federal government. I pay taxes here. I absolutely think that my tax money should stay within the community. All of my contributions to the community itself matter to me in where it's distributed, and adding to the already stressed out police force and the fact that, you know, a lot of those calls still don't get answered. There are individuals that, you know, make those phone calls and they end up not reporting the next crime because they did not get resolution the first time. So by cooperating with ICE and the immigration policies there, we would really be doing a disservice to the community.
Hi there, I'm Connor Sheridan. I live off of Euclid. As you can tell by my last name, I also have some Irish heritage in me. Folks who are better equipped than me to speak about that and how it relates to the current issues we're talking about have already done so. I've also done so with the legal matters. So instead, I just want to tell you quickly about 3 things I believe are true. You may disagree with the first, that's fine, but I think the second you would definitely will. The first is that borders are a fiction that were created to be convenient for some and inconvenient for others. The second is that people are real, no matter where they come from. And the third is that real sustainable change starts at a local level, and we should not let the fear of retribution from a heinously corrupt administration prevent us from starting that change. And I'll sign my name because I forgot to do that. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Josh Rogner, and I'm from 224 Lagoon Beach Drive. I think it's really cool that our sister city is Ansbach because my last name is Rogner, and that's where my family's last name originated. So it's pretty cool that we still practice that tradition. I'm here to talk about Christopher Runberg's immigration resolution. I'm in support of it. I sort of used a chatbot, Google Gemini, to parse through a few reasons to support the resolution. So it goes, we're here to discuss a critical issue that impacts the safety and well-being of all our communities. The role of local law enforcement in federal immigration matters, specifically deportation. I want to argue that our local police should not be used for deportation purposes. Firstly, involving local police in deportation undermines community trust. When local officers are seen as immigration agents, it creates a climate of fear within immigrant communities. And I think that's pretty outrageous. Victims and witnesses of crimes, regardless of their immigration status, may become hesitant to report incidents or cooperate with investigations for fear of deportation. This breakdown in trust makes it harder for police to do their jobs effectively, ultimately making our neighborhoods less safe for everyone, kind of the opposite of what Mr. Trump is arguing for, and I think that's what he wants. Secondly, local law enforcement agencies are primarily tasked with maintaining public safety within their jurisdictions. Their resources and training are geared towards addressing local crime. Diverting their attention and resources towards what the federal government, immigration enforcement, should be doing pulls them away from their core mission. It strains their budgets and can lead to a neglect of crime issues that directly impact our daily lives. Finally, the use of law enforcement for deportation raises serious concerns about potential racial profiling and discrimination. Individuals may be targeted for questioning or even detention based on their appearance or perceived immigration status, rather than on any actual criminal activity. This erodes the principles of equal justice and can lead to civil rights violations. Get pretty heavy. I've never been a fan of Mr. Trump. I respect his office and that he was elected. I think it's pretty funny. He doesn't think he lost in 2020 because he did. Immigration enforcement is a federal responsibility requiring specialized training and resources. Entrusting this responsibility to local police forces creates unnecessarily challenges and undermines the very foundations of community policing. Let's ensure our local law enforcement can focus on their crucial role of protecting and serving all members of our community, fostering trust and ensuring safety for everyone without the added burden of federal immigration enforcement. And there's also the SAVE Act that Jocelyn Benson has mentioned that Trump's cronies are trying to pass that would deeply disenfranchise voters for these same immigration reasons. And I think it's important for our community to get ahead of the ball on this. I think it's a good move, and the rest of the country will be watching. I watched Rachel Maddow on Friday, and we were at the protests when J.D. Vance was here, and my mom was on Rachel Maddow, which was pretty cool. That was a pretty exciting moment. But that's all I have to say. Thank you so much. I'm in support of this. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lacey Dunkhorst, and I live at 2806 Paradise Court. I am here today. I wrote this really quickly while standing in line. I'm here today to support Commissioner Rumberg's immigration resolution. I believe that we should be saving our city's resources for issues pertaining to our own city. Why would we waste precious resources on a federal issue? We shouldn't be enforcing or aiding with a federal law. I get that there are some very ignorant-based standpoints on what immigrants are doing here and why some of you think that they're so bad. But the bottom line is that they aren't these vicious criminals that deserve to be detained and forced to leave our country. That's fear-mongering at its finest. Kind of like when we heard, they're all eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, they're eating our pets. Sure. If the immigrants are all these violent criminals, why is ICE entering schools to search for illegal immigrant children? These people are being detained and put in deplorable conditions. Most of the immigrants are people that work here, have families here, and just wanted what we all want, a good life. So please, do the right thing. Immigrants are people, just like you and I. We're a country made up of immigrants. We live on native land. So unless you're a Native American, your ancestors were also immigrants. So vote yes on the immigration resolution. Make this city a safe space for all people. Save our resources for more pertinent issues. Thank you.
John Davidson, 1218 Marsac. Commissioners, you've already heard from one former commissioner from here about the parking down at Vets Park. I would suggest to you guys to look at where the tennis courts used to be to put in handicap parking there. It would help a lot down there, and as a person that used to cut lawn for the last 2 years in the parks, I think I just don't like cutting it. Just concrete it for the handicap. It'd be an accessible spot. Number two, on this immigration thing, I'd like to see you guys vote against it. Everybody's an immigrant. The young gentleman that was up here before me, he forgot the Scotch people that were here, you know, too. Being Scottish. To the St. Pat's Association, for you guys that don't know how the parade got started, it was a bunch of drunks that just walked out on Center Street and said we need a parade, and all they did was walk. If I'm lying, I'm not lying, am I? She says no. On this immigration thing, they do have a right to live where they want, but not to come in to commit crime. I spoke to a retired police officer, and if I mention where he used to sit in the official chair, you'll know who he is. He's probably watching tonight, so he says, don't say it, John. The only time out of his 25 years of dedication to this city that he had to handle immigration, it turned up to be nothing. We do not need this resolution. We do not even need to taste the chance of losing any dollars. After handling 12 years of a budget and trying to find out where the money come from, these state and these federal dollars are what we counted on. I urge you, and has anybody did their homework? Have they seen why Saginaw didn't pass their resolution? Their resolution failed, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe somebody ought to put this back on the table and let Cordell vote on it too, instead of passing it. Because 2 weeks ago, you said you needed everybody to vote on this. My guess is that you had a 4-4 vote and it was going to fail. That's fine, but give Cordell a chance to vote on it. Table it. Thank you.
Good evening, Larry Elliott, 308 Sanson Street. I'm here to talk about the feel-good politics going on. Before anybody starts rolling their eyes and shaking their heads and saying, what are you talking about? I call it feel-good politics for a reason, because it doesn't do anything. Let's be realistic here. We don't have an immigration problem in Bay City. We don't have a lot of illegal immigrants here. We may have a few. We may have a few illegal immigrants here, but we also have an FBI office here. So we already have federal officers that are here that are probably going to resolve that without the need of Bay City. If, by chance, the president says, you guys have to enforce immigration law, we don't have the officers to do it. Most of the time, we have 2 or 3 officers on the road at a time, responding to calls, doing traffic enforcement. There is no officers available, none, to enforce this. So, let's weigh the pros and cons. Makes everybody feel great that we do this. Perfect. I lost one of them. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. I should write notes. However, you risk federal funding. Our property taxes right now barely pays for public safety. That's most of our income generated by Bay City. Most of the other income we get is from state and federal monies. So how are you going to replace that? You can't. So the weighing factor here, I feel good, and the police can't enforce it, compared to we risk losing everything, far outweighs the need for this. Let's use our heads. You have part of the resolution is great. Ask the government to, again, enforce and change immigration law. Immigration law, by the way, has been around for over about half of our country's very existence. You have a city commissioner, a former city commissioner, sitting in the U.S. Congress. Has anybody bothered to call her and say, do your job and enforce immigration or change it? Send her a letter. Let them do it. But we don't need this. We don't need this in Bay City. First, anybody here, can anybody tell me the number of illegal immigrants we've had? No? No? I was a probation and parole officer for 30 years. Okay? In 30 years, I dealt with less than 5 immigrants, illegal or illegal, in 30 years. Less than 5. And none of them actually resided in Bay City. They lived out within the county, but not in Bay City. So you're doing this for, you can't even tell me how many number of people. Likely, I'm going to say, at most double digits. So it's feel good. It's just feel good politics, and it's not needed on this commission.
Hello. My name is Rob Grohalski. I live at 613 Green Avenue in Bay City, Michigan. So we all know what is in the political ethers right now. The specter of President Trump's deportation efforts. Since the last commissioner meeting just 2 weeks ago, deportation efforts have metastasized into new realms of fresh hell. We've had detainment of a Columbia student named Mahmoud Khalil, apparently arrested because he holds unpopular political beliefs about Palestinians that the Trump administration disagrees with. Mahmoud Khalil is a legally admitted green card holder, is married to a U.S. citizen who is 8 months pregnant. He was legally admitted, he was arrested without charge of a crime. Here in America, without a crime. He is threatened with deportation. Another case, Dr. Rasa Alawai, a physician from Brown Medicine in Rhode Island, was detained at Boston Logan Airport last week, returning from a trip to Lebanon. Despite a Friday court order blocking her removal and her possession of a valid H-1B visa, she was forced to leave the country, her lawyer reports. On Sunday evening, District Court Chief Judge James Boasberg, ruling from the bench on the Trump administration's attempt to deport hundreds of Venezuelans, some no doubt were criminals, ordered the U.S. government to turn around planes headed to El Salvador or elsewhere with all these Venezuelan immigrants on board under the administration's, get this, invocation of the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Our history buffs might recall that to enact the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, you have to be at war with the country. We're not at war with Venezuela. But that didn't stop the Trump administration. They just ignored the judge's orders. A big oopsie, they said. And these are just a couple of, in the last couple of weeks since this last meeting, hundreds of other arrests have also happened. And it's because this administration is willing to recklessly and aggressively expand this deportation agenda, the law be damned. Throughout the 2024 campaign season and well into this year, Mr. Trump has repeatedly told us who he is and what this is all about. They're poisoning the blood of our country. That's what they've done. They're poisoned mental institutions and prisons all over the world, not just in South America, not just the 3 or 4 countries that we think about, but all over the world. They're coming to our country, from Africa, from Asia, from all over the world. They're pouring into our country. He said this at a New Hampshire rally. They're rough people, he says. He says, in many cases from jails, prisons, mental institutions, insane asylums. You know the insane asylums. That's Silence of the Lambs stuff. That was from March of last year. This is the best one. Democrats say, please don't call them animals. They're humans, I said. Oh, no, not humans. They're not humans. They're animals. Nancy Pelosi told me, she said, please don't use the word animals when you're talking about these people. I said, I'll use the word animals because that's where they are. Where did Trump say those words? Right here in Michigan, in Grand Rapids, last April. In an advisory by the ACLU put out last year, they cited the Niskian Center, which catalogs Project 2025, the immigration proposals that are being put forward. They foresee 700,000 temporary protected status, 500,000 adults known as dreamers, more than 175,000 Ukrainians, all losing legal protections, pushed out of the country, a fate that could be shared by tens of thousands of Afghans, Venezuelans, Cubans, Haitians, all facing dangerous conditions at home. Again, that's the specter that hangs over the air over our whole country.
Time.
Commissioner Runberg,
Move to provide the speaker 2 more minutes.
Commissioner Prince.
Second.
Thank you.
Is there, any objection? Seeing none, the speaker has 2 more minutes.
Thank you. It is clear to anyone that the measures and powers the current administration seeks are beyond precedent, beyond authority given to the executive branch. He is brazenly trampling on the 4th Amendment, which prohibits unreasonable searches and seizure. Also being ignored are the 5th and 14th Amendments that guarantee equal protection of the laws, including freedom from racial discrimination by law enforcement. And note, these amendments make no exception for for immigration enforcement. That means officers from ICE, Customs and Border Protection, military, police, and other agencies. They're required to abide by the laws without exception. So what can we do? What can we do here in Bay City? Well, for starters, we should all be able to agree that these intentions and actions are more than a little bit shaky from the legal standpoint. Do we, as a municipality, really want to see our police and first responders put in a place where they could be performing tasks and duties that one day could be ruled illegal? And what sort of liability would that expose our city to? We should move now, today, to enact a firewall between our city's needs and the Trump administration. We do it now with the urgency this moment deserves. Because if we don't do it now and President Trump starts localizing police forces, it will be impossible later to come back and say, well, this is what we really wanted. Instead, let us assert our right to declare our police and first responders with the primary task of protecting this city, this community. I urge the commission here to adopt Commissioner Rumberg's resolution, and I hope that happens tonight.
Time.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for having the community here to give us an opportunity to give our thoughts. That's something that is really, really important and special. My name is Carolyn Coloris. I live at 821 Southeast Bowtell Road. I have been living in beautiful Bay County for just over a year. I brought myself and my family here, and I'm loving it. I am a nurse. I've been a nurse for about 9 years, and I deeply care about people. I've had the privilege of caring for people of all walks of life, races, colors, creeds, walks of life. I promise immigrants are not scary. The difference between an undocumented immigrant and a citizen is a piece of paper. I promise they are not scary. One difference between an undocumented person and a citizen is more likely to commit a crime than an undocumented person. That is a fact. You already know this, and I don't have to tell you that immigrants are people and that we should deeply care about our community members. You already know this. This resolution is about keeping our law enforcement policing our community and not reaching for things that we already have federal agents in place to do. Let ICE do ICE's job. Let our law enforcement do our law enforcement's job. As a nurse, I know about wearing way too many hats, and sometimes we have to think what is in my scope of practice and what is not. Do the right thing. Let's join Grand Rapids, Detroit, Lansing, and Ann Arbor, who have passed similar resolutions to keep our local autonomy in place. I'd like to leave you with a verse from Leviticus 19:33. When a stranger resides with you in your land, you shall not wrong him. The stranger who resides with you shall be to you as one of your citizens. You shall love him as yourself, for you were once strangers in the land of Egypt. Thank you all so much for this opportunity, and I urge you today to pass Commissioner Runberg's resolution. Thank you.
Charlie Congdon, Bay City, Michigan. I'd like to talk about the bridge situation, which is apparently becoming a crisis now. When this whole issue began a few years ago, I was very interested in how it would work or not work. And so I started attending these meetings for information, question and answer and presentation. And one night, we were watching a slideshow projected on a screen, and showed a lot of maintenance work that needed to be done on a lot of the bridges and all the reasons for it. It also showed Liberty Bridge wide open with a huge cargo ship coming through, chugging through town. And I thought to myself, gee, I wonder how much they pay. I was kind of naive at the time, and I guess I still am. There's a guy standing next to me who's a department head that I knew, and I said, say, how much do the bay liners pay? And he looked at me, he said, well, nothing. I didn't expect that. Nothing? Why nothing? They're the reason that we need these expensive drawbridges. He said, well, there's a thing called maritime law. Maritime law, otherwise known as the Merchant Marine Act of 1920, otherwise known as the Jones Act. I said, well, that can't be right. There's something wrong there because they're the ones putting the burden on this city. The reason our streets are crumbling and we have to use a lot of money before we get to the streets to fix the bridges. Why can't they pay their fair share? He said, well, it's the law. It's maritime law. I kept hearing that. And I said, I'm going to have to research that. Because I heard a constitutional lawyer once told me, we were talking about some issue, and he says, you know, you take most of the laws that statutes and you research them far enough, you'll see that they're unconstitutional. That means that they're not really a law from the time of enactment. So, in my opinion, what we need is a little adjustment. There's no reason the lake liners couldn't be approached to contribute to our problem here that they have caused. Researching it further, I found a very well-written analysis of the Jones Act from Cato Institute, which is a libertarian think tank, and is very well written and explains all the things that are a problem in the Jones Act since 1920. That's a long time. And it's had a very adverse effect on our economy in many ways, shipbuilding industry and supply chain. So I recommend anybody who's interested.
Time.
Commissioner Runberg.
Move to provide speaker 2 more minutes.
Commissioner Prince.
Second.
Any objection? Seeing none, the speaker has 2 more minutes.
So I'd recommend anybody who's really interested in the bridge issue to read that report. You can pull it up on the computer. It's type in Cato Institute, a burden, Jones Act, a burden America can no longer bear. I think you'd be impressed, but it gives us a chance to make the bridges work in our favor. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tristika Howard, 1610 6th Street. So I'm speaking in support of Commissioner Runberg's resolution, because I believe is it a resolution that would reinforce our community's commitment to safety, trust, and economic growth while ensuring our local law enforcement resources are effectively utilized. Research has consistently debunked the myth that immigrants, including those undocumented, contribute to higher crime rates. Studies conducted demonstrate that foreign-born individuals are less likely to commit crimes than native-born citizens. Furthermore, cities with large immigrant populations, such as El Paso, Texas, have been recognized as some of the safest in the United States. This data highlights that immigration is not a public safety threat, but rather an integral part of thriving, safe communities. Additionally, claims that undocumented immigrants impose financial burdens on government services fail to recognize that most undocumented individuals contribute to the economy. Many pay taxes, and studies also indicate that regions experiencing high immigration inflows often see significant increases in median household income. A resolution limiting what our public safety workers' involvement in immigration enforcement would help ensure that all residents, regardless of status, continue to contribute to Bay City's economic and social well-being. Moreover, requiring these first responders to enforce immigration laws would undermine public safety. When immigrants fear deportation, they are less likely to report crimes, cooperate as witnesses, or seek assistance from emergency services. This creates an environment where criminals go unpunished and overall community safety declines. As demonstrated in cases across the country, incidents where immigrant witnesses were detained or deported after assisting law enforcement have had a chilling effect, making communities less secure for everyone. I would also like to, just in closing, leave everyone with a quote from a German Luther pastor who initially did nothing when the Nazis were starting their power regime in Germany, but he later became a vocal critic and was imprisoned in concentration camps for his opposition. I'm sure it's a quote most people have heard before. First, they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. So this is our time to speak out for those who are not here and cannot speak for themselves, to speak for the undocumented in our community. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing us to speak on this matter. I'm here to support Commissioner Runberg, the immigration resolution. I'm tired.
Could you state your name?
Oh, I'm so sorry. My name is Galen Rand. I'm at 305 North Winona Street. I'm tired. I'm angry. I'm scared. What's happening in this country is wrong. Using state, city, and township police forces to enforce immigration is wrong. We are witnessing and dealing with a regime that cares nothing for the rule of law or the people that law is supposed to protect. Please do not follow suit and not only put immigrants that could possibly be in this city at risk, but ultimately every person who lives in here. I am Indigenous. And I welcome all of you here today, and I welcome all immigrants who are here trying to make ends meet for themselves and their families on our land. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Michael Nowicki, and I live at 206 North Dewitt Street in Bay City, Michigan. And I am against this resolution. And if people don't wake up, we're going to have another Lake and Riley here in Bay City, Michigan. Is that what you people want? Is that what you people want? Vote no for this.
Please.
This is Paul Kleinow, 1713 10th Street. Last week I talked about some fears about stop and frisk and undocumented immigrants, but the situation has changed. Last week, Fabian Schmidt, a New Hampshire man, an electrical engineer with a green card he has held since 2008, was returning from a visit to Europe. He was grabbed by ICE at the airport, stripped naked, put in a cold shower, violently interrogated, pressured to give up his green card, detained with limited food and water without access to his medications. In detainment, he got the flu, collapsed, and was transported to the hospital. As of last Friday, he was still detained after a full week despite committing no crime. The German consulate is now involved, of course, as a citizen of theirs has been detained for the crime of flying into the country. Mahmoud Khalil, a Palestinian refugee with a green card, disappeared by an unnamed ICE officer wearing a Big Bang Theory t-shirt in an unmarked vehicle. A 10-year-old American brain cancer patient with undocumented parents, all deported to Mexico. Canadian work visa applicant Jasmine Mooney disappeared with 30 others for a week to a concrete cell in Arizona over a rejected visa application. Dr. Rasha Alawea, an H-1B organ transplant doctor for 6 years, detained after returning from visiting family in Lebanon and deported against a judge order. Trump announcing the return of the Alien Enemies Act, last used to put Japanese Americans during World War II into camps, deporting an LGBT tattoo artist to an El Salvadoran work camp under accusations of being in a gang nobody ever bothered to prove they were a part of. Latino, Native American, Puerto Rican citizens arrested and held by ICE for being visibly brown. Note that the above examples, all documented, legal, and not a charged crime in sight. So who's next? Pro-Ukrainian protesters, anti-Elon Musk protesters, pro-Veterans Affairs or Social Security protesters, maybe people in this audience who plan to protest the bridges? The precedent has been set that all of the above can and will be detained by ICE, none of which are undocumented immigrant criminals it was promised they would be focusing on by the regime in charge or perhaps other negative people here today. And those who might vote no or veto today thus want our cops, who are also our firefighters, who would really prefer this commission to dig up any additional scrap of funding to hire more people or fix up their buildings, to stop their normal safety work to join in on detaining people who are here legally and have not committed crimes. The ethical ramifications are as horrific as the legal fees and labor hours large. This city will be paying to deport permanent, non-criminal, normal residents of our towns. Why? But if the ethical ramifications of what's happening in this country was enough to freeze your blood and drive you to throw up what reasonable, pragmatic defenses you can, then we wouldn't be having this second meeting today. It's disappointing I have to use other arguments at all. To vote no on this resolution, you would have to decide that, out of fear of blowback, you will sacrifice a non-zero amount of peaceful, legal residents out of fear of perhaps a House resolution in the Michigan House that, as Commissioner Prince said, about a different bill has not made it through the Senate. Or in the hope the Trump regime won't cut our funding more than they already have. For example, by ending DEI programs where you might forget that the E stands for Bay City and Saginaw and similar cities. Maybe that planned sacrifice tears you up inside. Maybe you want to gamble lives in your career on simply nothing bad ever happening as the city hides in a corner. Maybe the sacrifice simply doesn't evoke any emotion at all. But this is no ostrich in the sand moment. You will be asked to sacrifice the innocent for a chance to delay the loss of a rapidly dwindling source of income. Will you say yes? Or will you take Will you take a very simple and eminently winnable fight other cities are already winning? Which will you choose? Roughly 2 weeks ago, in the House of Representatives pulled several mayors of so-called sanctuary cities in front of them in an attempt to accuse them of hiding undocumented criminals from deportation. They, who have resolutions much stronger than this one, ardently defended themselves in their cities, and the hit job failed. In Michigan, too, many cities have a similar resolution on their books. We would be joining a group of cities who have made a policy based on moral clarity and pragmatic policing, not coming out as a city of activists performatively acting alone. So let's imagine that either way you vote, like those mayors, eventually you get pulled up onto the stand in a court of Congress to defend your decision as commissioner or mayor. Which situation would you rather have to defend?
Commissioner Tenney.
Move to extend the speaker's time by 2 minutes.
Commissioner Prince.
Second.
Any objection? Seeing none, the speaker has 2 more minutes.
Thank you. Which situation would you rather have to defend? Your city passing a resolution that asks for public safety pragmatism and not to spend its own money and sudden arrest of legal and peaceful immigrants like the big city mayors from Boston and Chicago and Denver did already this month? Or would you rather defend the actions of your police for arresting an American citizen or green card holder under ICE jurisdiction where a legal Bay City resident or tourist was tortured and held without access to a lawyer? Would you rather someday have to come up here and vote unanimously to settle with said resident for $190,000 as Mayor Rosalind Bliss and her commission in Grand Rapids did in 2019? Which of these two situations would you rather stake your legacy and future on having to defend? Lastly, let's talk passion. This week, the vice president rolled through town and saw 50+ people show up to protest him on a Friday at noon on short notice. Energy is high in town. You may also have seen the white-hot outrage over the federal spending bill that just passed. And let's not forget the simmering heat that is the rage over the bridges. The one thing to draw from each of these events is that people want action. They want fight. It's why some people voted for Trump and why others resist him, and why those who are frozen in the moment are being left behind. Will this city commission be one that ducks its head from confrontation, to cower in the hope that as the federal funding is shut off for everyone, it's shut off here just slightly later than everyone else? Or will they show that we were right to elect them, and they have the teeth, and the brawn, and the resolution to stand here in front of the people of Bay City and say, even for the most vulnerable of you, we are here? Imagine yourself in that future courtroom. What do you want your legacy to be? Defending your courage or covering up your mistakes? Thank you.
My name is Dolores Kerr. I live at 2403 Kopka Court. I came here to ask you to vote no on that resolution. I think that it's disgraceful that we should have to let people into our country. It's so anti-American to do that. I think that I gave you time, give my time. I went to 3 people on this commission and I had asked them, what about this resolution? What does it mean? One said to me, don't worry about it, it's just political, move on. That didn't tell me anything. I went to another one, and he said, oh, it's the feds. Let the feds pay for it. They're the ones that want to do this. I think that the feds should pay for it, but all they're asking is that if an illegal is in jail, they get a 48-hour call before that illegal is released onto the streets. Doesn't matter. If they think it's serious enough, they'll come here and take him. If not, let him out on our streets. See what he does in our country. How many times have you gone to Myers and found that these illegals go in there and eat the food at Myers and throw their papers behind boxes and that? I've seen it. I've reported it. And talking about the Irish that come here, yes, they did come here. We do celebrate. But they came here legal, just as my grandparents did. When they came into this country, they had to support themselves. They didn't have all of this to support. Come here, we're going to give you everything. No, We worked for it all. They brought so many things into our country, diseases. We never had measles. We never had polio. We didn't have a lot of these. You want all of this in our area again? No, I had family members who died from these things. And I think that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Please respect all speakers.
It's a tough act to follow. I'm just going to read and try not to get emotional. Good evening. I'm Tara Pressler, 409 Patterson Avenue. I'm here tonight as a tax-paying resident of Bay City to express my support for Christopher Rumberg's resolution, Commissioner Christopher Rumberg's resolution affirming Bay City's commitment to local public safety priorities and jurisdictional integrity. Last fall, when some people in our area lost their ever-loving minds over pictures of migrant workers here to help local farms harvest, we saw a glimpse of just how dangerous the racist rhetoric coming from the national level could be. As executive orders continue to threaten so much, I think it is important for communities like ours to set aside fear and instead operate with our brains within the law and with a confident assurance of who we are and what our community stands for. The handful of opposers of the resolution who spoke at the last meeting seem to be basing their concerns on two fears. One, I can only assume, comes from consuming a little bit too much Fox News, that undocumented immigrants are inherently more dangerous. This is not true. Please remember that if an undocumented immigrant were to commit a crime here, this resolution does not stop our law enforcement from doing their job, enforcing the law, arresting them, and charging them just as anybody else. If the fear is losing federal funding, then I ask, where do we draw the line? As more and more and more and more keeps coming down, threats on everything, where are we going to draw the line? Are we going to remove diversity as one of our 6 core values on our public safety portion of the city's website? Are we removing that? Where do we draw the line? I read an article yesterday, not local, about a teacher being forced to remove a sign from their classroom that said everyone is welcome here due to the threats against federal funding for anything that has a glimpse of diversity, equity, and inclusion. How ridiculous is that? A sign meant to comfort young students into feeling like their learning environment is a place where they can come as they are without judgment. This is now being considered a bad thing and something that could make the district lose federal funding. What are we doing here? We're going to go along with all this? I would like to see our commissioners support this resolution to send a clear message to our residents and visitors who in the current political climate may be fearful of being targeted for the color of their skin, their accent, or for speaking another language, that they are safe and welcome here. My brother-in-law came to the United States as a Rwandan refugee as a little boy. He has brown skin, a bit of an accent, and can sometimes be heard speaking to his mom in a language other than English. He's a legal U.S. citizen, but being that there isn't a sign above his or anyone's head proving him to be, how is it determined whose citizenship should be questioned? I am concerned that with the lack of diversity in our community, that people may choose to involve law enforcement should they find themselves with a paranoid hunch
that someone's mere existence should be reported, as we saw with the migrant workers last fall. I can't imagine being in our country as long as he has, paying taxes, contributing to our society, and feeling like I needed to carry around proof of citizenship to protect myself from detainment and deportation. The resolution does not exempt anyone from being pursued by law enforcement if they are suspected of a crime, but will hopefully deter our officers from being pulled into prejudiced pursuits without merit that would potentially open up our city for more lawsuits. We have enough already.
Time.
Commissioner Prince,
Move to extend for 2 minutes.
Commissioner Rundberg,
Second.
any objection? Seeing none, the speaker has 2 more minutes.
Thank you. It will also allow immigration enforcement to be in the hands of ICE where it belongs, therefore lifting any financial burden being deputized would bring upon our police department. I live in the Banks. We're already feeling a little neglected over there without our fire station. Our police officers are also firemen. They change between 2 positions in the middle of a shift as they are needed. And I don't want to see them taking on another position that we already pay for with federal money. They've got enough on their hands as it is. I feel like we're at a crossroads, and the way you vote tonight, this is not some crazy resolution. It's quite simple. And if someone's going to come after us for this, what side do you want to be on? You cannot go back. You can't go back when this snowballs into what we're seeing it start to snowball, and you can't go back and say, oh, well, I didn't know it was going to get this bad. It's coming. We're seeing it. It's growing every day. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Trevor LeLacheur, and I moved to the great state of Michigan 3 years ago from a little town halfway in between Sarasota, Florida, and Tampa, Florida. The town was called Ruskin, and it was a heavily migrant community. In the neighborhood that I lived in was called Little Mexico.
Excuse me, did you state your address, your current address?
405 Northampton. Thank you. The neighborhood that I lived in was colloquially known as Little Mexico. And the thing about it is that it truly was a community. When my car broke down, my immigrant neighbors, I didn't ask or care whether or not they were legal or illegal, helped me fix my car. It didn't matter to me the legal status of my neighbor who handed me peaches while I was walking towards my bus stop every morning. When you are in a community, you get to know the individuals who are around you. You get to know their names. You get to know their stories. You get to know what matters to them. And every single member of the community who I spoke to, everybody who I got to know, cared about family. They cared about community. Many of them cared about faith. Their kids went to the same schools I went to. We are doing immigrants a disservice by associating them with these beasts that whatever news source you're listening to is describing them as. And I think it is incredibly unfair of people to come up here and say that, I'll hold my tongue on that one. Should be obvious, but I am in favor of the resolution. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Tom Baird. I reside at 1407 Taylor. I've been a lifelong resident of Bay City. I sat in your chairs 44 years ago. I've been involved in this city, in this community, for the past 44 years in several different capacities. I served on our Citizens District Councils, I believe, 22 years, served as chairman probably 19 of those years. I sat on both of the city charter revision commissions, approximately 22 years apart. Most recently, I've served on the Bay City School Board. I've been a lifelong resident. I've followed the city commission since 1981. I observed 2 weeks ago the city commission meeting that got pretty disturbing, ugly, embarrassing, and I was ashamed of what happened. I was further ashamed on what didn't happen afterwards. I think we're sending the wrong message to the people of Bay City that your behavior, even at a city commission meeting, you can do whatever you want, and it's okay. I think that's totally the wrong message that we're sending to the community. I did call, and I appreciated the police chief contacting me back immediately. I inquired if I came up to the podium tonight with my 5 minutes, talked about some topics, and then just went off on the mayor or commissioner and spoke in derogatory terms, what would happen to me? I said I'd probably get gavelled, be asked to be removed, which I would leave the chambers, wouldn't put up a fight. I inquired if I'd be arrested. It was indicated to me that I would not be arrested, that behavior currently is condoned. I just think that you're setting yourself up for the public to come up here and to address you as commissioners, elected leaders of the city of Bay City, and to do anything, and that there's really no consequences. I've lived in Bay City my entire life. I will be here the rest of my life. I will continue to be involved in something in one shape or form, but I just wanted to share with you, I think you need to reconsider the decorum as city commissioners. I'm not up here screaming or yelling or talking in a loud voice. Hopefully I'm talking slow enough where everybody can hear me and understand me. I think some of you need to be brave and to stand up and say what happened is not acceptable. And I don't expect a lot of finger clicking when I leave here. I don't want no applause. If you boo me, you boo me. I'm not going anywhere. I believe in this city. I have done a lot here, and I will continue to do a lot. I wish you well. Be strong. Be brave. You have to make some tough decisions. And obviously, you've got another decision that you're going to discuss and vote on tonight with Commissioner Renberg's resolution. So be strong, be brave. Thank you very much.
My name is Frank Vandenbrooks. I live at 607 North Lincoln. Laws are made to be kept and laws are made to be enforced. We have a highly effective and competent, and very competent police department who are highly capable of enforcing these laws. You want to talk about stretching the resources thin? Make this a sanctuary city. You'll get an influx of illegals. Not all of them be criminals, but you're going to raise the number that are. That will stretch our resources there. Also, it will jeopardize federal funds that we can use for other situations. If these people want to live in America, let them apply for a citizenship. And in the meantime, adhere to the law and you won't be harassed by the police department. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bree Melton. I live just outside of the First Ward at 306 Caroline Street, and I'm here to speak in support of Commissioner Runberg's resolution. On February 23rd, our mayor posted the following quote on Facebook. "Bay City is more than just a place. It's a community built on kindness, resilience, and the power of neighbors helping neighbors. Being a lifelong resident, I know this to be true. I've seen the way our community comes together in times of need, and Bay City is blessed with a booming population of compassionate and kind people. However, it would be naive of me to deny the rise of hatred and bigotry that I've seen not just in our nation at large, but in our own community. This was most recently demonstrated to me when I responded to the mayor's call for public comment on Commissioner Runberg's resolution on Facebook. For my unforgivable act of speaking in support of treating immigrants like humans, a commenter doxed the address of my familial home for anyone with internet access to see. This happened to multiple people present here tonight. This endangered my family. Luckily, however, that comment was removed within 5 minutes, thank you, Mayor. But the ordeal left me wondering, if I'm made to feel unsafe for supporting the humanity of immigrants, how might these community members who are directly impacted be feeling? So I started asking questions, and the answers have truly saddened me. There are people in this town who were born in the United States and now feel forced into the unsafe practice of carrying their birth certificates with them whenever they leave the house to prove their citizenship. To feel pushed to do such a thing is dehumanizing, and it's not a way that I want anyone in this city to have to live. That being said, I know that there are folks who are hesitant to support this resolution on the grounds that our federal funding may be cut. I understand being fearful of that outcome, but hiding from the schoolyard bully in hopes that he won't take your lunch money is no way to govern a city. Not to mention, considering the continuing resolution that was signed into federal law last week, we no longer have to fear those budget cuts being handed to us. They are already here. That leaves us with one dilemma to overcome. Will we pass this resolution and prove that Bay City is the kind, resilient community we claim it is? Or will we fail to pass it, selling out the neighbors we claim to help by capitulating to baseless fear? I yield my time. Thank you.
Gloria Ward, 800 Germania. I just wanted to say a couple quick things. Saginaw, our community right to the south, shot down this recently, 7-1. We have to consider that as a community that's a little bit larger than us, that actually has more resources than us for immigrants if they were to come. We have one hospital here, a small school system, 30,000 and some people, limited jobs. So our resources are fairly limited compared to Lansing, Grand Rapids, Ann Arbor, where they've implemented this welcoming, legislation or whatever you want to call it, resolution. Another issue is I don't think this I don't think this should be about whether immigration as a whole is right or wrong, whether immigrants are good or bad people. We need to make the decision for Bay City, what is right for our city, and we will lose all of our funding, or a significant amount of it. So we have to think of that. It is a factor. We're not debating immigration as a whole here, like a lot of people came up here to do. We're debating if this resolution is right for our city, and knowing that this resolution will attract more immigrants and use up our other resources that we don't have available for our own citizens, hospitals, schools, all of that. We're already low in providing that for our own citizens. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, Bay City. My name is Carly Rose Hammond. I live at 107 Washington. I'm actually a member of the Saginaw City Council, so I wasn't going to come up in here today because I think this discussion is by and for Bay City. But since our council was invoked a couple times and our decision was made, I wanted to present some information and background context. The resolution was my resolution that I presented. And initially, it was a broader resolution, and we tamped it down. And the reason that decision was made is that the city of Saginaw, we're a majority-minority community. We're an entitlement community. We proudly have 20% of our population identifies as Hispanic or Latino. We have a strong Mexican-American community, specifically inside of Saginaw, that advocates on all sorts of issues. And a lot of those folks were even distraught about the current situation. Our decision to move forward with a different resolution that was voted down, and I'll be very clear, it was voted down. This is not something that we organized our community around specifically. The choice that we made was because in the city of Saginaw, we have a massive underground advocacy network that is ready and willing and able to fight for all people. We have a police department that is already taking steps to do that. Also, I want to talk about the fact that my mom's side of the family is all from Bay City Polish, 6 generations back. My great-great Busha came to America, didn't speak a lick of English, and settled in Munger and started a potato farm. Had 13 kids, all did potato farms. They all had 13 kids, all did potato farms. So I'm pretty sure I'm related to about half the people in this room, if your name ends in a CZSKI or some combination. My mom graduated from Bay City All Saints. So Bay City is different from Saginaw. And y'all got a problem here, I have to say. When I look at some of the rhetoric at play, you know, in Saginaw, I do have to say that there are a lot of people who come out of the woodwork to jump to the defense of people when they're in vulnerable situations. And in Bay City, it seems that there's a big split on this issue, on the social aspect of this issue, on the broader aspect of this issue. And it doesn't seem like it's fair to have to be litigating that in this space today, tonight. But that's not really up to you either. This current administration has taken the choice out of the hands of local municipalities of whether or not they're going to be affected by the decisions being made in Washington. Those decisions are being made for us. There are people in this room tied to organizations who have had funding frozen because of its ties to DEI, whatever that means, and whatever day, by whatever decision somebody's making. These decisions are happening for you, to all of us. Life is 10% what happens to us and 90% how we respond to it, and that goes for governance as well. And I have to say, I agree with the comments about, you know, how far are we going to go in our communities to duck under the label of diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'm terrified for our HUD funds in SAG, and I'm terrified for CDBG. I'm not terrified of them because of our political stances locally in our city. I'm terrified because of the color of the skin of my community, because that's what's being sought after. That's what people are going after. That's the one constant in all of this. I called up Commissioner Runberg on the day that our resolution failed at the city. We had different circumstances. Ours was much different resolution, and I said, go for it. because I had seen the discussions happening on Facebook. I've seen the social media discussion happening in Bay City, and I've seen and I've heard what people have come up here and decided to say using this platform, some of whom had run for public office in the past. You have a problem here, now, tonight. And I do think that this is a values vote, and I think values matter. So, using my voice, individually, that's what I wanted to provide you with context with and give you here tonight. It's not easy to make these decisions, and I thank you all. It's like 8:30. Y'all have given people the opportunity to speak more, which is amazing, and I applaud you for that. That's amazing, to give people the opportunity to really get into it here, but the choice is yours. And I appreciate the efforts, up until this point to make sure that the citizens' voices have been heard. I really do, so thank you.
Okay, my name's Jeff Reed, 409 Fillmore, Bay City, Michigan. I'm sure you all recognize me. I'm not with the Bay City Bridge Partners, never have, and I never will be. I was here and I had a few questions for the commissioner. Right here on my little notepad, and it was simple. It was simple, and I think he answered it tonight. I will in 1 second, thank you, just hang tight. To the City of Bay City and commissioners, residents and visitors need to know what the law is. The first question was, can Bay City Bridge Partners use the Secretary of State to suspend your driver's license for unpaid tolls? And it says right here, check yes or no, very simple. That's check no. They do not have the authority to use the state of Michigan. It's not law. Number two, can Bay City Bridge Partners use the Secretary of State to deny your registration renewal for unpaid tolls? Very simple again, check yes or no. It's check no. They cannot do that. Let's deal. Okay, and I want to thank the commissioner for checking into that and addressing it earlier. I appreciate it. Somebody said they'd hold this. Thank you. Whatever you choose. Okay, somebody here tonight mentioned that they were considering on getting a transponder. I'm going to recommend not to do that because once you do get a transponder, you just entered into a contract with the bridge partners. Even though they can't suspend your driver's license or your registration, by having that transponder, you entered into a contract and they can take you to collections. That's how they're going to do it. So I'm still saying we need to bankrupt Bay City Bridge Partners, close your account, and remove your transponders. And on a happy note, with it being St. Patty's Day, I took the opportunity to make up a nice little sign here. I'll let you guys see how it looks. It reads, "Don't give up our pot of gold." Just on a happy note, cheer everybody up a little bit. Okay, can I make a resolution?
This is a one-way conversation, unfortunately.
Oh, well, great, then. I'll make a resolution. My resolution is to take that $5 million and it needs to be put in the bank to defend the city of Bay City and our residents against the bridge partners. And as far as the attorneys go, I think it's time to get rid of them and hire somebody that's actually competent, that can address what we all believe to be what they did to us wrong. Okay. Then I have a question, and you can tell us at the next meeting. One question, how much money and man-hours has the city manager spent on this bridge issue? I want to know how many man-hours have been spent on that, and I also want to know how many man-hours have been spent by these attorneys. And I want to know what the dollar amount is on both of those. I don't think that's too much to ask. Okay, I got the answer from my question actually from Timothy Beeson. He is our state representative. I had actually called him, and I'm going to encourage everybody that can hear this to reach out to Lansing. Let them know that Bay City Bridge Partners is not good for our city or our state. Please don't pass anything that's going to destroy our city, because right now I think we got the upper hand. That's it. Thank you very much. Oh, I'm suspending the clapping rule. If you're happy and you know it, they taught us in kindergarten, we can clap our hands.
Please refrain from clapping.
All right, anybody else coming forward for public input? Going once. Oh.
Bruce Eckhart, 810 Germania, Bay City. It's too bad, Bay City, what has happened so far. 4 years ago, we lost jobs, we lost business, inflation. 4 years ago, remember that. Everything went to hell in the United States of America. We lost a lot of jobs, and we have Bay Futures is trying to get them back. That's why I give them $100,000 once a year for 3 years. That's for Bay Futures out there. The hell with Bay City, they don't need their money. Spend it out there. Another restaurant going, they just keep restaurants closing restaurants and they open another ones up and all this stuff. But getting back, this would never happen if the party of choice here 4 years ago did an awful treasonous, as far as I'm concerned, it was treason. When they opened up them borders and they let everybody come in, criminals, killers, babies, hundreds of thousands of babies, we don't know where they're at. And you people sat there, oh, these immigrants, we feel, what about all those babies that have been killed or sex trade? You know what? I lived in Colorado. I know where Aurora is. You see how many of those gangs taking over those apartment complexes? The police couldn't do nothing. The mayor said, oh, it's nothing to worry about. They pistol whipped a lot of these people, and finally, we had a new administration come in there. I wonder how they got in. They took the vote. What, 80% of the Americans agree we got to get these illegals out of my country? And then we got a small amount here. I don't know where they're coming from. I don't know if they're American or what their problem is. These other groups, they don't want to follow the rule of law. They want to hide these people. And guess what? A lot of these people from these illegals left Denver, and they have caught them up here in Michigan. I mean, if I was illegal, wanted MS-13, I'd be sneaking up here at Bay City somewhere, just walking around. How you doing, ma'am? Oh, I might attack them later on. Yeah, I'm a citizen. I saw it, but I can't do nothing because I'm not supposed to. Let them get raped, let them get killed, then we'll call the police. Then the police will get ISIS. Well, that's too late. Get stupid, am I? Am I stupid? No, I'm a Democrat. Oh, excuse me. I don't know. These guys have really, really corrupted this country. They have taken this country so bad, and now what they don't like is U.S. aid, what they're doing, all this money laundering, they're finding out what they're doing, where it's going to. So crooked. If you want to get inflation down, you got to have the money, our debt's got to go down. It's like 34 trillion. Thanks to the other 4 years there, they took trillions of dollars and hit it. Green jobs. Oh, by the way, the governor, what's her name, Whitmore, or not Whitmore, the other one before her, gave $14 billion to Whitmore for the Green Project. So we could use that money here, couldn't we? Help build, get the bridge done. Nobody's saying nothing about it, though. All I can tell you is we are so blessed what has happened in this country since we had a new election. The people have spoken, and I don't know why there's so much hatred about this. This guy has leaps and bounds like Superman. I can't believe him. He's doing everything right, following the rule of law. Rule of law, remember that, you people. The other side don't want rule of law. They want to make their own laws up, just like the courts right now. The lower courts think they have the right to tell the president, oh, you can't do it. Get out of here, man. The lower courts, they are in their little area. They don't know nothing about finance, illegals, what's going on, trafficking. It's disgusting what they're trying to do. This is all part of trying to bring this guy down. And getting back, we got to get these people out. I'm all for immigration, but they got to come through the border of entry. Just like they got a lot of people over there. Our forefathers come through Ellis Island. Yes, Irish, Germans, all them guys. They know and then you got, we can't have DEI. No, you don't need DEI. That's the worst thing that happened in this country. You had affirmative action back in the 60s. Johnson did it. That meant we had to put so many minorities in each position. Well, I was with General Motors. I never did get the promotion. I won't say why, but you had to go by quota. They do that in their state. They do it here in Michigan. The problem is, look at all the football players. I've been discriminated. They're all basketball players. They're all over the place. Do you see me hollering, hey, I'm going to burn the city down, man? That ain't right. That's discriminating against white boys. We don't cry. Gimme, gimme, gimme. We go do something else. I'm like, my job, you ought to say, it's like the stock market. Up 1 minute, driving a Porsche down. I'm running a chicken farm. Yes, no, maybe.
Oh, the time. Okay, Commissioner Runberg.
I move to the speaker 2 more minutes.
Okay, is there support?
Thank you.
Commissioner Coakley.
But getting back.
Okay, is there any objection? Commissioner Tenney.
Object.
Okay. So we need to hold a roll call vote on that objection. So
The vote will be on, do you want to allow the extension for 2 minutes? Commissioner Tenney.
No.
Hilliker.
No.
DeWitt.
Clarify vote.
The vote is to allow for 2 minutes.
Yes.
Runberg.
Yes.
Charlebois, looks like he stepped out. Morris.
Yes.
Prince.
Yes.
Coakley.
Yes.
Bernie Obershaw.
No.
5 yes.
okay, the speaker has 2 more minutes.
All right, that's all I need. Thank you. Just like in this job situation, they holler about discrimination. There's jobs out there right now. We have so many policemen. We need them. And these minorities, these blacks, are hollering about, they're discriminating.
Point of order. This isn't protected speech. This is outright racism. Come on.
What is it then? All right, I'm sorry. But there's jobs out there. Instead of, you got to get a uniform on, be a policeman, and get out there, see if they spit on you, throw rocks at you. Yet they want to abuse them, just like here in Bay City. The policeman went after this guy that had a baby. I can't remember the whole story on it, but he had papers served on him not to see his wife. And he went and stabbed these policemen in the hands. And I'll tell you, he should have been shot, as far as I'm concerned. But what happened? I guess they put him in jail, got him back out. But then we have a commissioner here, so, he should be terminated, these guys. What are you talking about, man? That's disgusting, man. We got to go by the rule of law. Anytime you attack a policeman, now I'm glad they got this new one that any illegal that kills a policeman, they get the death penalty. Thank you very much.
Hey y'all, my name is Mason Presser. I live at 409 Patterson Avenue. I'm not sure what the hell that was, but I want to remind everybody who will be voting on this resolution tonight that if you vote no, that's who you're siding with. I think he was a great poster child for the opposition to this resolution. That's all I have to say. Thank you. Please support Chris Rumberg's resolution.
Okay, anybody else for public comment? All right, seeing no one come forward, we are into unfinished business. Okay, will the clerk please read the next item on the agenda?
Unfinished business, item 1, Commissioner Runberg's resolution regarding immigration enforcement.
Is there, Commissioner?
Don't we have to go to, oh wait, never mind, this is unfinished.
This is unfinished business
geez.
first.
All right, you're right.
All right, so is there a motion? Commissioner Runberg.
I move to vote on the resolution affirming Bay City's commitment to local public safety priorities and jurisdictional integrity.
Is there a second? Commissioner Tenney.
Second.
Okay, discussion. Commissioner Coakley.
Yeah, I have a few for the public safety, if you can. Thank you. A lot of police experts today. I figured I'd bring you up and try to get the answers that I want. In the time that you've been in your seat, or as long as you know, how many times have ICE deputized any of the police department?
Never.
Any agency at all deputize anybody?
We have a few people that work for the Safe Streets Task Force out of the FBI office. So there are 6 people that are deputized federally, but it's specific to drugs and violent crime.
Okay. Is there any compensation with that?
They pay for the overtime of the officers in that task force.
Okay, thank you. Do you know any, by chance, how many times undocumented citizens may have reported a crime, or do you inquire with that?
We don't ask people their status, so we would have no way of knowing that.
So no matter what, you guys don't ask the status whatsoever?
In very limited circumstances, generally the only reason we would ask somebody their status is if they were already arrested for a crime, they were in jail, we were trying to identify them for those reasons, and they didn't have any ID, something of that nature. Or the other reason is I've asked people their immigration status when it seems like they're hesitant to talk, just to kind of assure them, you know, I'm not deporting you, I don't do that, that's not my role, that's not what the city police does. So that's the only time we would ask.
Thank you. When someone calls 911, do they have to declare their citizenship or give their name? Or
no.
So anyone can report a crime without, okay.
Absolutely.
So basically right now, what would happen if one of your officers came across somebody who was an undocumented citizen?
Well, most likely they would never know they were an undocumented citizen.
Okay. In your opinion, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, will this resolution affect how your officers can do their job?
To be honest with you, this resolution doesn't really change anything for what we do. I was kind of pleased that somebody actually mentioned our core values tonight. That means somebody was reading our stuff that we have online. Those core values, and one of them is diversity. We sit with every employee on day one and go over those core values. Those weren't imposed upon us. That's just what we stand for. That's not changing regardless of this resolution or not.
Thank you. Just another thing, I know in conversations previously, you work with other communities, Midlands, Saginaw, and so forth.
Yes.
Are there concerns with this and this? I mean, 'cause don't you do joint things and stuff?
It's the same concerns that were mentioned by other speakers tonight about, you know, federal funding is always a concern because Just recently, we had applied for the Assistance for Firefighters grant with Midland and Saginaw. And obviously Saginaw did not support a similar type resolution like this. I'm just concerned that they may now not want to sign on with a grant with us if they get excluded because of this, something like this.
But there is a little bit of concern with that.
Yeah.
Understandable. I have some more stuff. Do you want to leave him up there for any other questions? Then revert
Entirely
back
up
to me.
to you to allow other commissioners if you want to fall back up after.
Absolutely.
Chance, great. Commissioner Bernie Overshaw.
Okay, I wanted to ask you some questions about deputizing your officers. In the past, have you had a lot of problems with immigrants or immigration crime?
We don't do anything with immigration crime. I've been here 26 years, and I can recall one time speaking with somebody from ICE, and it was over 20 years ago, for somebody that was lodged into jail after committing a crime, and I was trying to identify them.
Okay, is there a lot of diversity in, how would you tell if these people were immigrants and if they were breaking the law? Or, how would you know if they were immigrants?
I don't, unless they tell me.
Are there many crimes of people of color here in the city of Bay City?
That's kind of a loaded question. I don't know what you're.
Because it makes me think, because we have a lot of crime lately, and we do need you officers, instead of worried about immigration, we need you guys for our city because we have a lot of crime. So I wanted to look up to see who's doing the crime, because we don't need officers for the government ISIS. We need you for within the city. So I had to look up some crime statistics. So on February 22nd, these are all white crime. There are no immigration crimes in the city in the past, I'd say in the past month. February 22nd, we had a terrorist attack, you could say, here in Bay City, Michigan, at the police station by a judge's son, take place here in Bay City, Michigan. You, Officer Rowell, did not inform the city of Bay City.
Point of order, this is.
I'm just saying,
this
we had another attack. Wait a minute, we need to be informed of white crime. Immigration people, immigrants are not doing these crimes. These are privileged white people that have done these crimes in the past month.
I'm not sure where we're going with this, so.
This is what I'm saying. We don't need to deputize these officers for immigration, immigrants.
But you
this
can't-
is white crime.
Point of order, we're attacking.
Commissioner, we're going down a bad path. I understand. Can you just ask questions?
Okay. Why weren't these crimes? The thing is that we need you in our, in our city. We don't need you for immigration to use the funding for immigration to be deputized. That's what I'm saying. If we have more white crime, more than immigration crime.
Let him answer the question.
I don't know how to say it, but we don't have a lot of crime with ethnic people or people of color. So why would we be putting our time into immigration, is what I'm saying. Why would you, and where do you stand on it? I think that's more or less that's a good question. Where do you stand
I can
on
assure
immigration?
you and the public and whoever is listening that regardless of what happens with this resolution, we are not getting deputized to enforce immigration crime, period. Doesn't matter.
One last question. Will we, the public, from now on, when there is something so important, then a terrorist, this is called a terrorist attack, when this happened.
Point of order, we're off top, we're off topic again, so
Will we
let's,
be
can we move on?
informed?
This is, we're,
We need to keep it germane to the topic. I understand what you're saying, Commissioner. We can do
Another
it
time.
Well, if you have a specific question, maybe write it up, and so at a later point that it can be answered, other than this particular issue. All right, Commissioner Runberg.
Thank you, Director Rowell, for coming up here and talking to us. So this is just purely a hypothetical, but if this resolution doesn't pass, and I understand that the current, I guess, consensus belief that I'm sure you and some of your colleagues might even agree with, I don't want you to speak for them per se, but I understand that we don't have ICE concerns right now at this moment, but as this administration ramps up activities, because they're allegedly getting rid of 21 million people, whatever, how many millions we're up to now, what would happen if the federal government did approach you, if ICE did, and wanted to deputize officers if this did not pass? What would that process look like?
I would not be able to enter into that agreement just on my own anyway, but I would not do it. I wouldn't even bring it to you. We don't have the resources or the to do it anyway. Like I'm not speaking for or against anything. I'm just saying, regardless of what happens with this, as long as I'm here, we're not getting deputized to enforce immigration.
I appreciate your integrity. Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak? All right, Commissioner Hilliker.
I don't have a specific question, so I'm just going to speak on the resolution. So you're good? Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. But I do want to speak on this. So I am the great-granddaughter of immigrants. I disagree with the immigration policies happening at a federal level. What is being done to families because of the federal policy, I personally feel is appalling and is a detriment to the American spirit. I believe that when you're an elected official, you're not in a place to represent and serve your own personal feelings and beliefs or biases. This resolution before us tonight is a value statement, one that I personally feel is important. Some individuals view this as a way to stand up against the federal government. I see you, I hear you, and I appreciate you coming and sharing your views and your drive to resist. When we're talking about individuals feeling welcome in our community, it's amazing and wonderful to see so many passionate individuals ready to stand strong with the affected communities. I have a responsibility, along with my fellow commissioners, to make sure that the city is able to stand strong in years to come. This resolution does two things which leads me to a place where I cannot support it. One, it makes a promise that is not legally or realistically able for us to be enacted. If this resolution was a true protector of people, it would be an easy yes for me. However, this resolution is not. Secondly, this resolution puts our city at financial risk. The federal and state leaders have made their policies very clear. Any city or municipality enacting sanctuary or welcoming cities resolutions will be targets and will see financial repercussions. This body has seen a statement from the attorney which outlined that there was a legitimate financial risk. We did our work on this. And what we have not seen is we have not seen or been provided with the full list of federal and state funded programs and projects which have been promised to our citizens, and how if this was to be enacted and if we were actually found, if financial repercussions came to our city, how we would still make sure that we give our citizens what we promised them. Everybody in this room, there's projects like the Lafayette Bridge. Will our MDOT funding be affected? Would our other grants be affected? These are legitimate concerns. So here's what I'm asking us tonight. I am asking us that if we are truly looking at this, we truly want to make a vote on this, and again, it's a value statement that I believe in, we do this responsibly. We take a look at what the federal and state funded programs are, how much it would be, and come up with a plan if we see repercussions, how we would still offer to our citizens and keep our city strong. I feel like it's the responsible thing to do. It's us doing our due diligence and not just jumping into something, hoping that it works out for us. It's us actually doing the work of being leaders and making sure we have the financial backing should we see repercussions and if we want to make, like, if it's voted on and passed. So I'm actually want to vote to refer this back to staff so that we can receive that full list of funding, and that, no, we didn't. We tabled it. This is to refer it back to staff so that we can get the full list of funding, every single one of those programs listed, and create a plan if we were to have financial repercussions.
So is that that's a motion?
Yes, I motion to refer this to staff.
Okay, do we ask for a second on that? So Commissioner Prince.
Second.
All right, is there any objection? Commissioner Tenney.
Object.
Okay, so we will do a roll call vote on that, on the objection. So a yes, could you clarify?
Not on the objection, we will vote on the motion to refer.
So we're voting on the motion to refer, and yes is to refer back to staff, and no is to keep the discussion going.
Correct, yes. Yes, a yes will refer it back to staff. And we are at Commissioner Hilliker.
Yes.
DeWitt?
No.
Runberg?
No.
Charlebois?
No.
Morris?
Yes.
Prince?
Yes.
Coakley?
Yes.
Bernie Obershaw?
No.
And Tenney.
No.
So the motion to refer fails.
Okay. Oh. Okay, Commissioner Coakley.
Yeah, it's just sort of was in the middle of something and got swiped on it. First and foremost, I do not want our officers deputized. I do not want our local resources going too far away from home. I just want to be clear on that. I just wish this was a little bit cleaner for me. I do have concerns, which I'm still weighing. I mean, I thought I'd be working on streets, sidewalks, bridges, police, fire, and parks. And now we're here dealing with national issues and trying to make statements, and it's all concerning for me. But just wanted to say that I've lost a lot of sleep on this. It's been 2 months of back and forth, and I do listen to everybody who speaks to me, and you shoot me an email, I read your emails, and I weigh it heavily. That's it.
Okay, Commissioner Prince.
Yeah, I first want to say thank you to Commissioner Runberg for his willingness to engage in conversation. He knows where I stand. I'm against this measure, and for a couple of reasons. And Commissioner Hilliker essentially laid out my argument, but federally, it would put our community development block grant funding at risk. That is funding that we do not have a replacement for. And considering that we have never been deputized by the federal government to enforce immigration law, this would essentially be us potentially throwing away vital funding to pat ourselves on the back and to feel good about ourselves. And I'm just not willing to do that for a symbolic gesture. This would preclude us from applying from federal grants for the next 4 years. That seems like a pretty big price to pay. And additionally, in addition to what the State House Republican Caucus has passed, the State Senate Republican Caucus put up a budget amendment last week that stripped any statutory revenue sharing from municipalities that adopted these measures. It failed because we have a Democratic state Senate, but we have an election in 2 years, and it's a coin flip on who will control the legislature and the governor. We are a purple state. It's not unheard of for us to have a Republican trifecta, because we've had it between 2011